Good afternoon, Judge Massey. Before we get started, I'd just like to make the court aware that I believe position 6 will be a plea.
All right, thank you. All right, Miss Champion, how are you?
I'm good, Judge. How are you?
Good. What's the reset date?
The reset date is going to be March 16th.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Wonderful. Whenever you're ready, we're gonna have position number 10. That's gonna be
Okay.
Ms. Terry Wilcox in front of you.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll give my announcements. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Judge Regina Mincy, and we're going to begin our Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. This is a calendar for cases in which individuals have recently been arrested and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses. Soon after their arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's office has already accused these cases of the offenses brought against them, and the cases have been bound over to the Fulton County State Court. Nevertheless, this will usually be the defendant's initial appearance before state court judge, so we are able to address several matters, including bond, possible arraignment, or a possible plea offer if one has been made by the state at this juncture. I want to also begin by advising everyone that this whole entire proceeding is being recorded as well as live streamed on YouTube. I want to also remind the defendants on this calendar that you have certain constitutional rights. The first being that you have a right to have counsel representing you at this juncture, and most of you know who your attorneys are. You also have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say about the facts, the circumstances, or the occurrences of your case can and will be held against you. Remember, the state is here, the prosecutors are listening. So again, listen to your attorneys. All right, first case we have is position 10. That is case number 23 CR 001213C, State versus Terry Wilcox, charged of 1 count of simple battery family violence. The offense date is March the 2nd, 2023. Pre-trial?
Give me 1 moment, please.
Okay.
This appears to be our first arrest.
All right, thank you. All right, I see ASG Mr. Young. I see Deputy Falk. Who we have?
Dustin Young for the state, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed.
Your Honor, here we have Mr. Terry Wilcox. Officer responded to 378 Boulevard, Southeast in Atlanta, Georgia, where officers met with Reed Glass Anderson, who shares a child with the defendant. Mr. Glass stated to officers that the defendant arrived at the location and they ended up in an altercation. So the defendant began pushing and shoving, him attempting to force her way into his home. After the dispute about the child, officers observed both parties with ripped and damaged clothing. While Miss Wilcox does not have any criminal history, we do have concerns as the defendant and the victim share a child together. Therefore, it's likely that the defendant would attempt to influence the victim in an attempt to elude prosecution, as common in these type of situations. So the state is asking for a $3,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, stay away from the address, third-party contact regarding the child, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and 1 day of anger awareness. That's all for the state.
Okay. And tell me the name of the victim again.
Reed, R-E-I-D, Glass, common spelling, hyphenated Anderson, common spelling, Glass Anderson is a hyphenated last name.
Okay, making sure I heard that correctly. All right, PD Kim,
Yes, Your Honor. My client is Ms. Wilcox. She will be qualified for public defender's services. So our office will continuously represent her. She used to work at liquor store after graduating from high school. However, due to her pregnancy and having a baby who is only 2 months old right now, she has a part-time job at Amazon Flex. So her income is at this point not so high. So we will continuously represent her. She has been here in Georgia for more than 7 years. And Your Honor, my client claims that she was not the first aggressor, and she has no way to intimidate the witness because Mr. Reed Glass Anderson is arrested for another case that he has a private attorney representing. So I believe he's also in Fulton County Jail. We just don't have a conflict of interest because he was represented by a private attorney always. We would like to request for a signature on bond. She was a victim in this case, and she also has a baby to breastfeed. The baby is only 2 months old, Your Honor. We would like to request for a signature on bond. Thank you.
all right. I'm going to grant the $3,500 signature bond through pretrial per judge. I'm going to order the address on Boulevard is whose address?
Complaining witness address. My client does not reside there, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm going to order stay away from 378 Boulevard Southeast in Atlanta. I'm going to order no further contact with Reed Glass Anderson. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm going to order the one-day anger awareness course through pretrial. And if there's visitation allowed with the baby, that it be facilitated by a third party so that Ms. Wilcox will not have any interaction with this victim while on bond. So they need to find a third person to do that exchange if it's going to be allowed. I believe that's it. Any other matters I need to take up, counsel?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nothing for the state.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, what was that bond amount?
$3,500 signature bond through pretrial.
All right. And also, just quick FYI
Yes.
to Ms. Duncan. I received the plea paperwork for Posey, but I did not receive it for Christopher Smith.
Christopher
Okay.
Smith respectfully declined to accept the plea offer. That's why, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
He told me he accepted it, so I'm not sure. But if
Oh,
he
he
declined,
told
that's
me
okay.
Okay.
Did you accept it or did you decline it? He said he accepted it.
Okay, then I'll withdraw, I guess.
I'll complete that paperwork and get it to you as soon as I can.
Appreciative, thank you. Next, we're gonna have position number 1, Miss Tyra Chandler.
Okay. This is case number 23 CR 001201B. Tyra Chandler, you're charged with 1 count of failure to obey signs or control devices and a 2nd count of driving, fleeing, or attempted to elude a police officer, both with the offense date of February the 20th, 2023. Pre-trial?
This appears to be the defendant's first.
I'm sorry?
This appears to be the defendant's first arrest.
And we're getting a very large amount of feedback or echo. All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on February 20th between North Avenue Northwest and Tech Parkway Northwest. Officers saw the defendant fail to stop at a red light while driving westbound on North Avenue. Then the officers activated their emergency light and conducted a traffic stop. But before the officer exited their vehicle, the defendant opened the car door and leaned out to see what was going on, which allowed her face to be fully captured by video. The defendant then closed the door and drove off. Officer checked the vehicle through GCIC and discovered it belonging to Walteria Elliott, who's the registered owner. Officers then checked with some of their other software and discovered that the defendant is the daughter of Elliott. Once the officer discovered that, they received a copy of both Miss Elliott and the defendant's license photos and determined that Chandler, or the defendant, was the driver based on her picture being captured. Your Honor, because this is her first arrest, the state is recommending a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. That'll be $1,500 on each count, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Nothing further.
All right.
Your Honor,
Kim?
yes, Your Honor, we do not have any objection to this signature on bond. We just want to know if we can do it through the jail. She's 20 years old and she's qualified for public defender services. She has a baby who is 8 months old. Last 2 months, she had no job. However, she's been going to college for early child education and theater major. She graduated from high school, of course. She's going to college, Georgia, something, Your Honor, State College, Your Honor. And this is her first arrest. We would like to request for signature on bond through jail.
What's the, she from Georgia or family
Yes.
contact?
Yes, she was born and raised here in Georgia, 20 years. Her mother is Elliott, who's registered for that car. We do have a good phone number and address as well.
Okay. All right, I'm going to order the $3,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order that for $1,500 on each charge. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I guess that's it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing
Nothing
further.
further.
Your Honor.
Okay. All right. That will conclude this case. It's a $3,000 signature bond through the jail, deputy.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Next, we're gonna have position number 3, Mr. Sean Hill. And I believe he's supposed to have a private attorney.
Okay.
That is correct. Melanie Elwinger here on that case, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Dustin Young here for the state, Your Honor.
All right. This is 23 CR 001209F. Sean Hill, charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. The offense date is March the 1st, 2023. Pre-trial.
This appears to be the defendant's first arrest.
All right.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. ASG Young.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Officer responded to 8980 Niblick Drive in Johns Creek, where they spoke with the victim, Tadila Zegai, who told officer that Mr. Hill had been contacting her nonstop. So she arrived at his residence. He came outside. The two of them got into an argument where Mr. Hill became irritated and threw a large rock through a window, shattering it out completely. Officer subsequently spoke with Mr. Hill, who had left the residence before officers arrived, and who told officer that he had became upset with the victim. So he threw the rock through the victim's window and shattering it entirely.
Mr. I'm so sorry to interject, Judge Mincy. I apologize. Our GCIC is not matching up with what pretrial just stated. If this is Sean Hill, is that correct?
Yes.
We're showing a much longer GCIC. So if we could just hold off on that case for 1 cycle so I can find out and reconcile the discrepancy, because that is going to change our bond recommendation.
All right.
Because we are
And
showing
that
several
can-
cases and I need to find out why.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right.
All right, Your Honor, in that case, we'll go to position number 2, and that's going to be Mr. Alan Graham.
All right, position 223 CR 001202J, Alan Graham. You're charged with 1 count of simple assault, family violence. The offense date is March the 2nd, 2023. Pretrial.
The defendant has 1 cycle out of Georgia, which is the charge here today, and then he has some charges in North Carolina. He has a larceny misdemeanor in 1986 conviction, for breaking and entering conviction in 2005, probation violation in 2008, and then a common law uttering misdemeanor in 2004. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. ASG Lewis.
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday at 2000 Monroe Place Northeast. Officers responded to a family violence call at that location and met with the victim, Joshua Graham. Graham stated that he and his uncle, who's the defendant, were in a heated argument stemming from the defendant's intoxication. Graham stated that the defendant gets very combative when he is intoxicated. And in fact, officers arrived earlier that morning to separate them and told the defendant to leave the apartment. Graham stated, however, that he called his father, who told him to let the defendant back into the apartment. And once back in the apartment, another argument ensued, and the defendant picked up a knife but put the knife down. Shortly after, the defendant picked up a baseball bat and lunged it towards the victim, and they began fighting. The defendant admitted to the officers that he picked up the bat as well as lunged at his nephew. It is to note that the defendant and the victim do live together in that apartment. Your Honor, I did want to note that we also saw a 2005 arrest for assault by strangulation, which was dismissed, but we do want to put that on the record. For these reasons, we are offering a $5,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, to stay away from that location, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and ADET. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cloud.
My client is 62 years old. He is currently retired after a long career in construction. He tells me that he has been living at this particular location with his brother for the past 11 years. His nephew, who is his brother's son, recently moved there maybe about 5 months ago. And since he has moved there, you know, they've gotten along fine, but on this particular occasion, they had a disagreement, which he believes is not serious. He tells me that his brother doesn't want him to move back there. The situation with the nephew being there was just temporary. He and his brother have lived together for 11 years and they've not had any issues, Your Honor. I did try to contact his brother, but was unable to do so, just to find out, you know, how he views all of this since they both live together. And really the nephew happens to be the complaining witness, just came there recently. I would ask the court to give my client a signature bond for a number of reasons. First of all, he may have some history, but his history is remote, Your Honor, and nonviolent. Plus, he only has Social Security, so he doesn't have a lot of money to post bond. And just given the nature of the allegations, his age and the entirety of the circumstances, I think a signature bond would be appropriate, Your Honor. I don't know if the alleged victim is on.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not sure if the victim's on it or not, but we would like to sound for him at this time if you're inclined.
Is there Joshua Graham on the Zoom? Joshua Graham? Don't have the victim here. I'm going to let me ask a question, and maybe I missed it. What is the relationship with the victim and the defendant?
He's his nephew, the alleged victim.
Nephew.
My client's nephew, his brother's son.
Gotcha. I think I did remember that. And I'm assuming the victim is an adult.
He's 30 years old, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'm going to order a $3,000 surety bond. And with that $3,000 surety bond, I'm going to order that the defendant stay away from, is it 2000 Monroe Place Northeast?
I don't
Yes,
think he
Your
has
Honor.
anywhere else to stay, Your Honor. That's the issue.
I was gonna have to find somewhere to make sure this is just happened yesterday. So I don't know if there's been the proper cooling down period, as well as if the allegations are true of drinking. Not sure what's going on, but he's got to find somewhere else to stay or go to a shelter, or if your office can help with social services to find some placement for him. But I'm not going to allow him to go back to the home yet. Stay away from the Monroe Place. No further contact with the victim, Joshua Graham. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I am not going to order an ADET at this point. That can come a little bit later. Anything else, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
All right, that'll conclude this case.
Your Honor, I think we are, whenever the courtroom 2 would like to bring him back up, we are ready to proceed on Sean Hill. We were pulling Sean Hill as an alias of another individual, but after looking at the biographical information, we determined they do not match up. So we will go with the pretrial services version of his history.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going back to Sean Hill, 23 CR 001209F. And pretrial has reported that it is his first arrest. And state, let me go back to you. And ASG Young, give me that address. Was it 8980?
8980 Knit Blick, one word, spelled
Spell that.
NITBLICK Drive in Johns Creek, Georgia.
All right. And then you had told me the victim's name, and it's something like Cordelia.
Cordelia, spelled TADILLA. The guy, if I'm pronouncing that right, ZEGEYE.
VEGEYE. Okay.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Those were hard names to pronounce, let alone to spell. So yeah, make sure I
Yes, ma'am.
heard them correctly. All right, go ahead and finish.
So the officer responded to the 8980 Knit Blick address, where they spoke with the victim, who stated that officers, who told officers that Mr. Hill had been contacting her nonstop when she came to the residence. The two subsequently got into an argument where Mr. Hill became agitated and threw a large rock through the one of the passenger windows of her vehicle. Officers spoke with Mr. Hill, who had already left the residence before he arrived, and he had told officers that the two had an argument. Essentially, he became upset with the victim, and for whatever reason, he threw a rock at her vehicle, shattering the window. And the state would recommend a $2,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, stay away from her address, one-day anger awareness, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's all for the state.
All right. All right, Attorney Ellwanger.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Mr. Hill is 33 years old. He is born and raised in Georgia. He lives at that address, the incident location, with his mother. This incident did happen after the complaining witness showed up at the address and was asked to leave and then destroyed property, Your Honor. Considering the facts of the case and that he has no arrest history, we would ask for a signature bond through the jail.
All right. What about work history?
He is a project manager with Comcast, Your Honor.
And is that state what you have as far as the victim, that is not the victim's address?
Your Honor, that's correct. She arrived, it is his address or his mother's address. She does not reside there from my understanding.
Okay. All right, I will grant the $2,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Ms. Delia VJ or VEGEYE. No further contact with her. I will not order the stay away since that's not her address. But you're not to have any contact with her, Mr. Hill, whatsoever, by email, by other third parties contacting her or anything like that. Remain 200 yards away from her. I'm going to order no drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons while on bond. And I think that's going to be it. Did I miss anything else, counsel?
That's it, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Elwanger. That will do it.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 5, Mr. Johnson, position number 5.
This is case number 23CR001207C. Mr. Johnson, you're charged with 3 counts of battery family violence. They all occurred on January 19, 2023. Pre-trial?
The defendant has 4 cycles. He's a felony burglary first degree, 2016, a misdemeanor willful obstruction of law enforcement officers in 2016. He has a felony criminal attempt to commit a felony in 2018, felony conviction theft by receiving stolen property in 2018, and then a felony burglary in 2018. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. ASG Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. So these incidents actually span between January 17th and 19th of this year. Officers responded to 4300 Flat Shoals Road, apartment 2405, and met with Cacresia. I'll spell that for you. It's KACREASEA Parks at this location. Parks stated that over these dates in question, the defendant has been very violent with her. The defendant has been violent in the past, but she had finally had enough and decided to call the police. So on the first date of January 17th, Park stated that she was hospitalized due to the defendant beating her and suffering cuts to her neck and cheek area. On January 18th, Park stated that the defendant hit her with her fist, causing a large black bruise on her left arm. And finally, on the date of this allegation, January 19th, the defendant was upset with Parks because she recently gotten in a car accident and they needed to rent a car. The defendant dragged her out of a parked vehicle. While outside of the vehicle, the defendant continued dragging her on the ground. Parks stated that the defendant dragged her several times at different locations, causing lacerations on her hands. Officers did observe a large open cut on her right hand with blood currently coming out. They also observed cuts on her face, neck, and a large black bruise on her left arm, all consistent with her account of the events. Your Honor, it is to note that Ms. Parks is currently pregnant, which is why the state is very concerned about these allegations. We also see that Mr. Johnson, or the defendant, is wanted currently out of Union City and Jonesboro. Because of the nature of the offense and him beating her so many times while being pregnant, the state is recommending a $15,000 surety bond. That'll be $5,000 on each count. To stay away from 4300 Flat Shoals Road, apartment 2405. No further contact with the victim, Ms. Parks, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. All right, PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Johnson is 25 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. And actually today he had an interview at 11 a.m. At the Amazon. However, he could not go there because he was arrested. He worked there he has been unemployed for about 2 weeks. And before that, he had another job. He completed his GED, and Your Honor, he has other cases. So I don't think he can be intimidating his witness since they don't live together and they don't have to contact each other anymore. My client has no objection to stay away and no further contact as long as he gets third-party transfer for his child later on. We would like to request for a signature on bond, and yet considering the past history, we understand if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we would like to request for $1,000 good bond for each charge, totaling $3,000 good bond. Thank you.
Okay.
And Your Honor, we're not sure if Ms. Parks is on the line, but if she is, we'd like to sound for her at this time.
All right. It's Kakria or Carceria. I don't know how to pronounce that. Ms. Parks, do I have anyone on the line? Doesn't look like it with that last name anyway. Anyone connected with the case of Gatonia Johnson? All right, we will proceed. I'm going to order the $15,000 surety bond, which will be $5,000 on each of the 3 charges. Gonna order a stay away from 4300 Flat Shoals Road, apartment number 2405. I'm gonna order no further contact with the victim, Karkria Parks. And I mean to stay away, no further contact of any sort. Must be 200 yards away from her. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And that will be all our order at this time. Nothing further.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, we have position 9, Mr. Thomas.
Okay. This is case number 23 CR 001206F. Timothy Thomas, charged with 1 count of simple battery, family violence. Then the offense date is March the 2nd, 2023. Pre-trial.
He has a total of 21 cycles. He appears to have an open case out of Fulton County for cruelty in the 2nd degree, battery, family violence, criminal damage to property, and theft by taking. That case number is 21 CP 202707. He appears to be on probation out of Fulton County for battery, family violence. Case number 20 SC 175436. Disposition was January 27, 2022. Says 3 years to serve 4 months in confinement. He has a total of 3 FTAs, 2 probation violations. He has a 2013 conviction for battery, family violence, cruelty in the 3rd, and obstructing or hindering person making emergency telephone call. A 2013 and 2014 conviction for driving without a valid license, and then a 2009 disorderly conduct, and nothing further.
Okay. State.
Good afternoon, Judge. This incident did occur yesterday at 270 Teague Lane. I just want to start off by saying that this defendant has a history that's almost exclusively of domestic violence nature, and most of the domestic violence charges that are in his record are offenses against today's victim, who is De'Erica Cook. That's Derricka. The only exception is the 2013 family violence battery that was against Dixine Horton, another woman. The 2020 battery family violence conviction was against this particular victim, and he's currently on probation for battery family violence against this victim in that 20 SC 175436 case, where he was sentenced in January of 2022. At that time, he was given a no further contact with this particular victim, and he currently also has an open case involving Miss Cook, which is that 21 CP 202707. He was given an $80,000 bond and told to stay away from Miss Cook again, and placed on an ankle monitor. In that most recent case that's open in Superior Court, Your Honor, he's alleged to have punched, kicked, and dragged her during a physical altercation in the presence of their children. It's indicated that they've been in a relationship for at least 60 years. In that instance, he gained access to her by forced entry, kicking in the garage door, taking items out of her purse, and keeping her from calling the police at that time. Today, Your Honor, this incident is alleged to have occurred yesterday when the defendant in this case was intoxicated. He was attempting to leave their shared residence in the rental vehicle of Miss Cook that was rented by Miss Cook. She did not want to allow him to drive while intoxicated, so she hid the keys. He began to get irate, started turning over furniture as a result, and then when she wouldn't give him the keys, he grabbed her, and when she fought him back, he initially released her, and when he was not able to find the keys, he grabbed her again. She was able to get away. She did, in fact, run to the kitchen and get a knife. She was arrested in this incident for aggravated assault, but it is the state's position that Ms. Cook was merely responding to repeated incidences of escalating domestic violence with this particular defendant. They have several open cases. He's been told to stay away from her, and it's a continual pattern of abuse. And given his history, we can see clearly that he has issues with violence against women. So for those reasons, we do have concerns about the risk of reoffending, intimidation of this particular witness, given that he's been told to stay away from her for several times. And even when he's told to stay away, he does things like kick down the garage to get in, to get to her. We're concerned about his flight risk, given that he does have recent FTAs, and we have concerns about his likelihood to positively respond to the legal process, given that he does have those probation violations and repeated offenses against this same victim. We understand that he was apparently injured in this instance. However, Your Honor, we do recognize that the totality of the circumstances indicate that this defendant was likely the primary aggressor in this situation, and that Ms. Cook's actions were a response to his repeated abuse to her. It is for those reasons that the state is going to be requesting a $3,500 cash only bond, no further contact with the victim, whose name has already been stated on the record, a stay away from the incident location. We will defer to the court as far as child contact, given that this defendant has committed these violent offenses in front of those children and does have some instances of cruelty to children in his criminal history. We'd ask for 2 weeks anger management, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, no further violations of Georgia law, and an 8-week family violence course.
Your Honor, my client, Mr. Timothy Thomas, is 33 years old. He tells me that he is the father of 3 minor children that he shares with the alleged defendant, with the alleged complaining witness. I am sorry, Your Honor. Court to note that this is a dual arrest, and she was charged with aggravated assault. I think that is significant. The warrant states that he actually tried to get away from her. He left the residence, I believe, with their young son and went to his grandmother's house. And I do believe that there is a video in this case, Your Honor, which will show that my client was not, in fact, the aggressor. I would ask the court to give my client a reasonable bond so he can get out of jail. I would also asked the court to allow my client to go back to this location because this is where he lives. And there are 3 young children to whom he's a father who live there and for whom he is also the caretaker, Your Honor. A $3,500 cash bond would essentially be no bond for my client because even though he is employed, he does not have that kind of money to post bond.
And Your Honor, just
What type of work does he do?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
What type of work does he do?
Construction. He works in construction.
And just to clarify, Judge Mincy, there is a video of this incident. However, it does not show the entirety of the interaction. And it's my understanding that he's not supposed to be anywhere that Ms. Cook resides. So he's already in violation of set probation amount where he got that $80,000 bond previously in an open case that he has against her in Superior Court. So we understand the defense's contentions. However, we're concerned that with this continual pattern of escalating violence that we just don't want something to happen that could be even more dangerous than what has occurred here. We understand it's a simple battery, but given their history, we think that our recommendation is more than reasonable in this case. And since it just happened yesterday, we believe that it's reasonable under those circumstances as well.
Where does the victim and children live? Do they live at this Teak Lane?
Yes, they all live there.
I am very concerned, Ms. McLeod, about the probation violation as well with this victim and the other cases. Obviously, they need to separate. So I'm going to
can stay with his somewhere else, Your Honor, with his grandmother if that is necessary.
I'm definitely going to order a stay away. And your client has his hand up. It's been up for a while.
Is this something to do with your bond?
Yes, I just want to say that the house I just purchased that house.
So it is your house.
And that's my house. But I never put my hands on it or nothing.
Don't talk about the facts of your case, Mr.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may add, in 2017, this defendant is also alleged to have stomped on this victim's head with boots on and in her face, leaving visible body injuries that officers recorded in a battery family violence incident between the two as well. So we just like to echo our sentiments, nothing further.
Okay. All right, I'm going to order the $3,500 cash bond. I'm going to order a stay away from the 270 Teak Lane. I'm going to order no further contact again with the victim, no contact. I'm going to order no contact with any other minor children that they have together right now for their safety. And I don't know the ages of the children, but sounds like, do we have that?
Yes, Your Honor, the children are quite young. The youngest is 2 years old. And I think there's another one that's like 5.
Yeah, they're not teenagers, but
They're not teenagers, they're young children.
Right. I'm going to order no further contact with the children right now till we can calm the situation down and make sure that everybody's going to be safe. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And my inclination is to order the anger management, but I'm not sure where the defendant will be able to go take it, or ordering that at this time without knowing how that will be provided, since it's not a bond through pretrial. So I'm going to hold off for a moment on ordering anything else. But I'm very serious, Mr. Thomas, about the stay away and no further contact with the victim or your children at this point. You've kind of forfeited that right with all these cases.
Right.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
That should conclude this case.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
That concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, have a good weekend.
Thank you. On the same to you.
All right. All right, thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 7, Mr. Willie Lee Ray.
This is 23 CR 001208J, Willie Lee Ray, charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and a 2nd count of littering. The offense date is 10/2/2021. Pretrial.
He has 23 cycles. He has a total, his last arrest was in 2012 for acquiring license plate for purpose of concealing identification of a motor vehicle, driving while license suspended or revoked, and a probation violation. His last felony conviction was in 2008 for possession of cocaine. He had a 2008 criminal trespass conviction, 2004 disorderly conduct conviction, 1999 theft by deception conviction, a 1993 violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, and then a 1989 escape conviction, 1 probation violation, which was the one from 2012, and a total of 4 FTAs, with the last being in 2006, and nothing further.
All right. ASG Duncan.
Yes, Your Honor. In this incident, the defendant is alleged to have left a dead rat or threw a dead rat on the front porch of the victim. In this case, her name is Jaminique Ray. That's JAMINIQUE. Last name Ray, common spelling. She indicated to us that when we spoke to her today, the defendant, who was her neighbor at the time, threw a dead rat in her grass and further went to pick that rat up and threw it directly at her front door. She said that she believes and left it there. She believes that this incident stems from the fact that she told him to politely stop talking to her children when they got off the bus from school in the afternoon. She says she does not know him and she did not feel comfortable with him talking to her children constantly. And she says that he was always lurking around whenever her children were outside, and it made her uncomfortable. And she believes that's why he threw the rat on her porch. There is doorbell camera footage that was provided to officers that clearly identifies the defendant as the one doing the acts as alleged in the warrant and spoken here on the record today. This case is already subject to $1,000 surety, which is $500 per count. The state is going to be asking that remain as set, given this defendant's history and the allegations as alleged in this incident. We did speak to the victim, as I stated. She said that this incident made her so uncomfortable, and the fact that he kept lurking around her children, that she, in fact, ended up moving from this location. So we're going to be asking for that $1,000 surety, no further contact with the victim in this case or any of her minor children, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
All right. D.D. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Ray is 65 years old, and he had a huge hip replacement on 2014. Ever since then, he retired, and he's basically living with Social Security check. He is qualified for public defender services, and we will continuously represent him. Your Honor, my client lived in one place for 14 years. We have not been able to see the footage of the video footage, but he claims that he has at least 7 neighbors who will testify for him about misunderstanding of Mr. Jaminique Ray, who is not related to my client. Your Honor, my client graduated from high school, and he does recycling as a part-time odd job to increase extra cash. He does not have $1,000 good bond, like money to pay for. We would like to request for signature bond. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to order that $1,000 surety bond to stay in place, 500 on each charge. And no further contact with the victim, Jasnick Ray, as well as her children. No further contact with any of them. Stay away from them. Mr. Ray, 200 yards, no emails, no contact with other parties. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And that will conclude this case.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, we have position 11 and position number 12, Mr. Charles Wilson.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Mark Jackson for Mr. Wilson.
Okay.
Dustin Young for the state.
And you're private counsel, Mr. Jackson, right?
I am, Your Honor. I've represented Mr. Wilson in the past.
Okay. Do we have his entry?
I sent it, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, we will get started. This is case number 23 CR 001211J. Charles Wilson, the first case is 1 count of battery family violence with the offense date of February the 8th, 2023. The second case is 23 CR 001212J. That is 1 count of battery family violence, offense date March the 2nd, 2023. Do these both have the same victims, Mr. Young?
Yes, Your Honor. They both contain the same victim at the same incident location within 30 days of each other.
Okay. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, pretrial. I'm sorry. I skipped over pretrial.
I'm showing 18 cycles. He appears to be on probation out of Clayton County for 3 counts of entering auto. Disposition was November 5th, 2020. It's 3 years, 24 months confinement, 3 years probation. He may have an open case out of Clayton County, which was the last arrest, November 6th, 2020. There's no disposition listed. That is for entering auto, 3 counts, possession of a shot-off shotgun, sawed-off rifle or machine gun, dangerous weapon or silencer. He has a 2016 conviction for 4 counts of entering auto, 2018 conviction for criminal trespass, 3 FTAs, 2019, 2018, 2009, and then 2 probation violations, and nothing further.
All right. ASG Young.
Yes, Your Honor, on the February 8th, 2023 at the 400 Griffin Street, Northwest Atlanta, Georgia, officer responded to that location and met with the victim, Lakeisha Davis, who lives there with the defendant. Ms. Davis stated that the defendant had punched her in the head and had also attempted to rip a ring off her finger. Officers observed a visible laceration to her finger and visible swelling on her face from being struck by the defendant. And on the March 2nd, 2023, officers responded to that same incident location and met with Davis, who stated that the defendant had struck her in the head over a dispute about a phone call she had received from an old friend. The altercation began. Ms. Davis yelled for her son to come outside. Defendant stopped the assault. They returned inside the residence where the argument started again, and the defendant grabbed her and scratched her on the right side of the face. There was another individual there, Miss Kiara Harris, who was on scene and advised officers that she had witnessed the incident that took place inside of the home. The state has some concerns regarding Mr. Wilson, as he has previous felony convictions, as pretrial had mentioned. Give me just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, so the state is going to recommend a $5,500 surety bond in each case for a total of $11,000. No further contact with the victim. Stay away from that address. 1-day anger awareness. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Our office has been in contact with the victim, who has advised that she is not afraid of the defendant and she would like for him to come home. However, we have concerns regarding the defendant possibly influencing the victim based on some conversations investigators have observed between the defendant and the victim, where the defendant kept saying his words, "Bitch, you know I love you, right?" in an aggressive tone, advising that they get to scrapping every now and then, but that's it. And the defendant was kind of using the victim's love for him against her, so to say. In another phone call, the defendant was talking aggressive, using profanities against the victim. Based on that information, Your Honor, the state is concerned with the possibility of reoffending, given that she is a victim in both cases, and possibly intimidating her. I believe she was online, Lakeisha Davis. So you can call for her. She may want to address the court.
Yes. All right. Attorney Jackson, would you like the victim to go before you or after you?
She can go ahead and go now.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Davis, do you wish to address the court?
Yes.
All right, hold on a second. I need to swear you in first. Raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, put your hand down. What would you like to say to the court today?
Basically, I would like to say, no, I'm not afraid of him. Yes, we have our arguments sometimes, but I just believe that he just basically needs like go to like a communication class or something where you can just, learn how to talk about the situation. We both can go if possible, but yeah, basically that's it. I'm not scared of him. Yes, I do want him to come home because he does provide for us and he's our provider. But yeah, I'm not afraid of him, and we have our arguments or whatever, but I also would like if he could get a signature bond too.
Do you have children together?
No, ma'am.
So these are just your children?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
2.
And how old are they?
19, 12.
19 and 12?
Yes.
All right. Any cross-examination, ASG Young?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Davis, I'm Justin Young. I'm the ASG that's handling the case. And I just have a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
First, are you the one who called the police on Mr. Wilson in one of the incidents?
In one.
Okay. On February 8th, did you tell officers that Mr. Wilson had struck you?
Yes.
Okay. And regarding the March incident, who called the police in that case?
My daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the March incident, did he strike you? Did you tell officers that he had struck you on that particular incident?
Yeah, we both got to tussle and fighting. Yeah. Well, not like an actual fight, but we was just basically grabbing each other and I was pulling his hair. Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, it's nothing further from the state.
All right. Any cross-examination, Attorney Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor, just real briefly.
Okay.
Could you tell me, you said, how long have you been together with
Well, I've been knowing him for 16, 17 years, but we just started in a relationship for like maybe 8 months.
8 months. And how did you know him from high school? I assume something along those lines, the neighborhood?
Well, that was from work. Yeah, that was like 16 years ago, and I've been knowing him ever since.
Okay. And so you've known him ever since that time. And when you say your provider, how is he providing for your family, for your children?
Well, he goes to work. He come home, he pays all of the bills and take care of everything around the house, yard work, the dogs, the car, basically everything really.
Does he pay for rent?
Yes,
Does he pay for food?
yes, everything.
Everything?
Mhm.
Okay. And as to the children, you said, and I apologize, you said 12 and 19.
Yes.
What is his relationship with the children?
He has a great relationship with children. Like I said, he's been knowing my daughter since she was 3, so she's 19 now in college. And then, my son, he knows my mom. He's been knowing her ever since 16 years. He knows my whole family, my dad, my brothers, everything. So,
How does he provide for you, help provide for your children?
He goes to work.
Does he provide clothes? Does he provide
clothing, food,
and food?
make sure he gets to school, their haircuts, all of that.
Okay. Do you work at this time?
Yes, but I don't work part-time. He works full-time.
And tell me, I believe it, and I may get this wrong. Is it Kenneth and Lang where he works?
Caney and Lang.
Caney and Lang, and he's been there for a while now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's a full-time position?
Yes.
And okay, I have no further, Your Honor, this time.
All right. All right, thank you, Ms. Davis. Mute yourself. And you can go ahead and present Mr. Jackson.
Your Honor, as I mentioned, I've represented, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I mentioned I represented Mr. Wilson in Clayton County. And I believe that case that pretrial was talking about, I believe, I can't remember, but I believe that we merged or we did a global resolution on both those cases. And with the same outcome, which was the 5, I believe, to serve 24 months on that. And he should be finishing up that shortly. He is 35 years of age. As mentioned, he has a full-time position. He is basically what he does is he cleans floors for major companies like Lowe's or Coca-Cola. Stable job. He has had this relationship, as the victim has said, for the last 8 months. I've known him discussed prior to this event, actually, that he is a provider for the family and has done an excellent job. I do think there are some issues with the relationship on both sides, to be honest with you, Your Honor. And what I would suggest that we possibly do is I would like the court to consider less of a bond, Your Honor. I would ask for at least I would ask for a total of $6,000 versus the 11. And as to the any contact with each other for right now, possibly until they're able to get and continue to provide. I don't have an issue with that, but maybe until classes are done for any anger management, that they stay away until that time, Your Honor. I think it would be healthy for them to both to have a break at the moment, but I think that I will tell you that Mr. Wilson has always, I've never had the indication that he would never show up for a hearing or for any type of court case. And I believe that he would continue to do that in this case. And I think the 11,000, I understand the state's position, but I think it's a little bit high on this. And I would ask for a reduction, Your Honor. I have no further.
The judge power went out for a second, so she's reconnecting right now. So if y'all can give her a second, please.
Okay. Ms. Champion?
Yes.
I don't know if you have it, but I did submit about a half hour ago my entry of appearance to the to a variety of different emails. So I'm hoping that it went to the state court, I know, and to magistrate to get the link. So, and to Tori as well. So hopefully it should be there. If not, I can try filing it again, but I did file it before the hearing.
Okay, yes, you can send it directly to me because I don't see it in the system.
Oh,
at this
perfect,
time.
perfect. Could you put in your chat box the your email and
It's april.champion@fultoncountyga.gov.
April.champion at fultoncounty.gov.
Yes. fultoncountyga.gov.
Yeah, GA, thank you. Yeah, I was, let me see if I can knock that out real quick for you.
Okay,
Mr.
thank
Jackson,
you.
also, I sent a chat to you. This is Ms. Lewis. Make sure you have the two CR numbers on the filing.
I'm sorry, was that for me?
Yes, Mr. Jackson. If you look in your chat, I had chatted you. This is Ms. Lewis.
Okay.
So.
Judge, you still muted.
All right, I'm not the most technical person, but if you can see me, I think I'm back in.
I see you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. It wouldn't let me do anything about my name, so I think it just says iPhone.
No, it says your name.
It does? Okay, thank you. I can't see as well. I've got to figure out how to redo my screen. Hold on a second. All right, I won't belabor that. I don't know how to get multiple people on the screen to view my something if somebody knows what I'm supposed to be pressing. How do you get the gallery view?
On the iPhone, Judge, you're only gonna be limited to space, so you'll have to hit like more and it will show you the list of everybody on the Zoom. And I think it's only gonna show up whoever talks.
I guess more doesn't give me any other options, so I'll just
No,
do.
it's gonna show up whoever talks, like if I'm talking, I don't know if my screen would show up if my video is on.
It doesn't, but now I've lost the other screen.
Well, we see you very clear.
You all see me. I can't see anybody else. Somehow I lost. I was seeing the other attorney, private attorney. I have no idea what I've done. So, all right, we'll get started. I cannot see anyone for some reason. Let's see what this is doing. Okay. I don't know. We'll get started. For some reason, I can't see anyone. All right, I'm sorry. Mr. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll just conclude, Your Honor. I know the victim is requesting a signature bond, and of course, that would be the optimal. I think it's because primarily that he is the main provider in the family and that they are trying to get by. And it would be a burden on them. If the court would not be agreeable to that, then we would ask, though, since he is the primary provider in the family, it seems as though that we would ask for a lesser bond than what the state is requesting at this time, just to avoid him. This has always obviously caused issues in the family, and it's upset the family unit, and to further complicate it by trying to come up with additional money for bond and so forth would put additional stress on the family unit. So I would ask that if the court, I would ask first a signature, and if the court is not agreeable to that, then less than what the state is asking for. And I would ask at least $4,000 or $5,000 less than what the state is asking for.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may, just momentarily.
Okay.
This is a classic cycle of domestic violence. The victim, I understand that the financial constraints and things of that nature. She is financially dependent on him, but they've only been together 8 months, and this has happened 2 times in less than a month. And in the last incident, his daughter was the one who called the police. So the state has some concerns there with the nature of their relationship.
Okay.
Your Honor, if the state is, in regard to the bond, is that concerned, maybe there could be, if the state would consider, since he is the provider, that some form of cooling off period, that my client could go through maybe anger management class before necessarily reconnecting. But I would, if we were able to do that, then I would still ask for a bond less than what the state is offering, if there is that concern. So I'm amenable to that, but I think just the burden of the cost, I think is problematic for the family unit. I also don't want him to lose his job by staying inside as well. That's the primary concern as well.
And I did not make a note, and maybe that's what was going on. What was the job history or the job for the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor. He works for a company that has been employed full-time, works for a company that cleans floors in large businesses such like Lowe's, Coca-Cola, and has a good steady full-time employment.
Okay. Anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor, that's all.
Okay. All right. On the first case, and let me ask this, what was the incident location or the address? I did not write that down.
Your Honor, it was 400 Griffin Street Northwest here in Atlanta.
And who resides there?
Both parties, the defendant and victim, Charles Wilson and Lakeisha Davis.
Okay. All right, on the first case from February the 8th, 2023, that's the case ending in 1211J. I'm going to order that surety bond of $5,000. And with that surety bond of $5,000, I'm going to order the stay away from 400 Griffin Street Northwest. Defendant will need to find somewhere else to go live. I don't believe there's been an ample cooling down period.
Your Honor, he does. Sorry, Your Honor, he does have his mom's to stay at, just to let you know. That won't be difficult.
Okay, so he needs to go stay with his mom, and allow the victim and her children to reside there without any incidents. He's to stay away from that location. I want him to also have no further contact right now with Lakeisha Davis while he's on bond. No further contact with her. I'm going to also order that he not have any contact with the children, the 19 and the 12-year-old, who are potential witnesses and maybe victims as well. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I'm going to order that one-day anger awareness course, or find a one-day anger awareness course to take. He gets out on bond. And then the second case, I will do the same $5,000 surety bond. And again, staying away from the victim and her children, same conditions. The one-day anger awareness can count for both cases. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And that'll be my ruling for both cases.
10,000 total, Your Honor.
10,000 total.
Any reconsideration on that amount, Your Honor?
Well, 10% is 1,000. And I'm just concerned about what I'm hearing. And both of these happened within the same year, months apart. So no matter what what she says, we have to make sure that she and her children are safe. And she may not be afraid, but they don't sound like minor arguments to me. They sound more like fights, and it sounds like that they're escalating. And we want to make sure that she and her children are safe. And so I did hear the victim say that she was not afraid, but we must also protect her from any more incidents from Mr. Wilson. So,
Understand, Your Honor.
yeah, you can apply for a modification later, but
Well,
we
should be able to take care of that, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next, Your Honor, we have position 6, Mr. Michael Posey, taking the plea.
All right, is this a pro se plea negotiated? What do we have here? This is case number 23, CR 001204Y, Michael Posey, you're charged at 1 count of criminal trespass. Within state is March the 2nd, 2023. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 105 cycles. He's on probation for theft by shoplifting on 10/7/2015. He has a felony robbery in 2005, false imprisonment in 2005, parole violation in 2013, another parole violation in 2014. He's a 2015 felony terroristic threats and acts. He has 2 counts of those, and he has 2 misdemeanor counts of criminal trespassing in 2015 as well. He has an FTA in 2018, probation violation in 2018. He has a misdemeanor theft by shoplifting, 2 counts in 2018. He has the misdemeanor terroristic threats and acts, 2018. He has a criminal trespass misdemeanor conviction in 2018 with a terroristic threat and acts in 2019. He has 2 counts of failure to appear in 2019. He has a probation violation in 2019. He has a misdemeanor simple battery in 2019. He has a misdemeanor simple battery in 2021, and he has a misdemeanor simple battery family violence in 2021. Would you like me to? And he has a misdemeanor simple assault in 2021 and a misdemeanor disorderly conduct in 2021. Would you like me to continue further, Your Honor?
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
Ma'am, may I speak?
No, you may not at this point. Let me hear from the state first.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the state's offer to the defendant was 12 months with credit for time, 12 months probation with credit for time served. I believe he's been in 2 days with a balance suspended and a stay away from MARTA. Would Your Honor like the factual basis for the state's recommendation?
Yes.
This defendant was on MARTA property, namely the 5 Points MARTA station located at 30 Alabama Street. On yesterday, this defendant is currently the subject of 2 separate MARTA bans that have not currently expired. This defendant is a repeat MARTA trespass offender. Both of those bans do not expire until March 14th, 2023 and March 22nd, 2023. In addition to the plea, we're asking for balance suspended, stay away from MARTA, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. So the entirety of the plea, just to be complete for the record, my apologies for breaking it up like that, is 12 months probation with credit for time served, with the balance suspended and a stay away from MARTA, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And we have received the signed plea paperwork from the defendant, and I've submitted that to Ms. Champion.
All right. And then stay away from all MARTA.
Correct.
Trains and buses.
Yes.
Okay. And so, Mr. Posey, you're representing yourself,
Yes, ma'am.
and you understand the consequences of that.
Ma'am, I'm an Army veteran. I got 3 kids. I work in Bookhead, and
Dunkin' Donuts. I'm assistant manager. I was outside 5 points. I have half a bladder and it's infected. I peed on myself. My pants are brown now. And I couldn't hold it. I'm old. I only had half a bladder, my queen. I'm very sorry. I urinated on myself on camera. I do apologize. I will not go back to Marta again. I want to take care of my kids and pay my rent. I'll stay away from Marta, ma'am. Judge
Okay.
Miss.
Yes, how old are you?
I'm 58, ma'am.
You're not old. Don't say 58 is old.
Oh, thank you,
Not old.
thank you, my queen, Eastern Star. White gold, pink, purple, wall, blue, man.
But I'm sorry that you have a medical condition.
Yes, ma'am.
For the future, you may want to get a letter or some statement from your doctor regarding that if it is causing you that, so that you can show that to people. I try not to ban people totally from MARTA because
yes,
what
ma'am.
that's going to cause you to do is to have to do ride shares, which obviously costs more than riding MARTA.
That's
But
right.
I am concerned with your history, your long history. But the 2 bans that you're under now will expire, like the state stated, on the 14th and the 22nd.
Yes, ma'am.
And so,
And Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt. My apologies. This defendant does have a recent January 2023 conviction for criminal trespass from MARTA. And at that time, he was told to stay away from all MARTA by Judge Morrow.
I won't go back.
was it the same type of facts or something different in the January case?
I don't have those directly in front of me, but if the court would like me to check, however, the state is we just want to make sure what's going on at this time. We were under the impression that the defendant was taking a plea. And
I do understand, and I will accept the plea, but I'm trying to determine what the conditions would be, and if there are some other circumstances in me banning him from MARTA for 12 months. I guess that would be it. Is that correct?
Yes,
ASD Duncan, it would be for the 12 months.
Yes, the state's position is that while he is on the probation is suspended, we just ask that he stay away from all MARTA, and he's currently banned, so he can't go to MARTA anyway.
Well, he's only banned to the end of March, correct?
Right.
Correct.
So I guess I'm trying to make sure I'm clear before I take this plea. So the ban ends on March 22nd, and is the ban gonna go until more months, or is it going to end on the 22nd when he takes his plea? I want to make sure he's clear as well.
We're asking for a 12-month ban from that particular MARTA station, just to be clear.
Okay, so 12-month ban from which station?
The 5 Points MARTA station located at 30 Alabama Street.
Well, I think you can't, well, I guess you can't go too many places if you can't go to 5 Points. That's the main hub.
Yes, ma'am.
So you would be banned for 12 months from 5 Points, Mr. Posey. So you would have to do some ride sharing for the next 12 months.
Okay.
So if you can do that,
Yes,
I will take the plea, because I think that's going to be the correct punishment for all of this history, so that you can get things together and not have any new cases.
Okay, thank you. God bless you.
Well, I've got to do a little bit more to take your plea, but I want to make sure we're clear on the conditions, okay? All right, and so you can ride MARTA if you don't go to 5 Points, because that's what the 12-month ban is from the 5 Point station. But you're right now under a ban from all MARTA, it looks like, until March the 22nd.
Okay.
Is that correct, ASG Duncan?
Yes, that is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so I want you to be careful on that to understand. I'm going to accept your plea, but you are to stay away from all MARTA until March 22nd, a couple of weeks from now. And
Yes,
then
ma'am.
after March 22nd, You are banned from the 5 Points MARTA for 12 months.
Okay, Your Honor, my queen. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. So it is your intent to plead guilty to the criminal trespass. Is that correct? One count?
Yes.
All right. All right. This is case number 23 CR 001204Y. And are you presently under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving your right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that you're giving up or waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, Your Honor.
And if you're on probation, do you understand that your probation could be affected by your guilty plea today?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charge that's been brought against you?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. Thank you so much.
Okay, so again, as to the charge of criminal trespass, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
All right, so you understand the conditions, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. No
Okay,
more 5 points. No more model PID.
no more MARTA until March 22nd. So March 23rd, you can ride stations other than 5 Points.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
But up to the 22nd, you can't ride any of them. All of
Okay.
them, you're banned from all, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck to you.
So I'm leaving?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hey, she can still hear you. Posey, they're gonna make me change. Posey, they're gonna talk. They're gonna make me change. Posey. Bye. Get out my phone. Sorry about that, y'all. I got
That's
position.
okay.
Mr. Christopher Smith, he's just a little excited. He's taking a plea, position number 8, Christopher Smith.
Okay. All right, Mr. Smith, you are here with case number 23 CR 001205G. You're charged with 1 count of possession and use of drug-related objects, 2nd count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, and a 3rd count of that. So 2 counts of willful obstruction, 1 count of possession of and use of drug-related objects. The offense date is March the 2nd, 2023. And I understand that you wish to take a plea, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you wish to represent yourself, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you understand that representing yourself, there could be consequences. You need to understand and know the laws of Georgia, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and so you're pleading guilty to all 3 counts, correct? All right, pre-trial, can you tell me the history, please?
Is this position 8?
Yes.
Okay. He has 18 cycles, 15 out of Georgia, 3 out of Kentucky. Appears to be on probation out of Henry County for battery, family violence with the disposition date of September 8th, 2022. 6 months confinement, 3 years, 6 months probation. 1 probation violation from 2019, 2 FTAs, 2021, 2022. 2016 conviction for possession of cocaine. 2012 conviction for battery, family violence. 2013 conviction for driving without a valid license. And then a 2009 conviction for willful obstruction of law enforcement officer and purchasing, furniture into purchasing of or possession by person below legal age of alcoholic beverages. And nothing further to add. Also, he's a multi-state offender. He has 3 arrests out of Kentucky, but I did not see any convictions out of Kentucky.
All right, thank you. State?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is 12 months probation with credit for time served. We'd ask for the balance to be suspended and that this defendant have to stay away from the incident location of 227 Peachtree Street Southwest and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
All right. That's your understanding of the plea, Mr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I'm gonna ask you the same series of questions in order to accept your plea, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the first question is, are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No.
And do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up and waiving the right to the presumption of innocence? And do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
And that by pleading guilty, you're giving up the right to a trial by a judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty today?
Yes. No.
No. Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty today?
No.
All right. And do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation could be affected by your guilty plea today?
Yes.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes.
Okay. And so I will accept your guilty plea and you understand the conditions. You are being offered 12 months probation, credit for time served. And I think that's 1 day. Is that correct, State, or 2 days?
I believe on Odyssey it says 2 days.
2 days. The balance will be suspended. And the condition is that you are to stay away from 227 Peachtree Street. Is that a store or a building?
I believe it's some form of a building. I can get the exact name for you, but yes, it's a building.
Okay, do you know where that is, Mr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're to stay away from 227 Peachtree Street and you're to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while you're on that probation for those 12 months, even though the balance will be suspended. So you are to stay away from there. If you go back there, you'll just be rearrested and start this all over again, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anything else from the state?
And Your Honor, that is a retail complex with several businesses.
Okay. So you're not to go back there for anything right now. All right. All right. Good luck to you. I'll accept your plea and you're free to go.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
That's all we have in courtroom too, Your Honor, unless there's somebody else we're missing.
Nope, I think we're good. I better get off here. Well, there's one case of position 4. Who's that? Casey Jenkins.
Loan out to Grady.
Oh, loan out to Grady.
Yeah.
So we'll set him for tomorrow. Have to keep doing that. And Ms. Champion, is that it, I think?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm having a tornado coming down here, so I better hurry up while I can.
Okay. Position number 1 is a total of a $3,000 sign-on bond through the jail reset further notice. Position number 2 is a $3,000 good bond reset SAP 316. Position number 3 is a $2,000 sign-on bond through the jail reset further notice. Position number 4 is reset to see tomorrow 3-4. Position number 5 is a total of a $15,000 good bond reset SAP 316. Position number 6 was a plea. Position number 7 is a total of a $1,000 good bond reset SAP 316. Position number 8 was a plea. Position number 9 is a total of a $3,500 cash bond only reset SAP 316. Position number 10 is a $3,500 pretrial bond per judge, reset further notice. Position number 11 is a $5,000 good bond reset SAP 316. And position number 12 is a $5,000 good bond reset SAP 316. Any questions?
Nope, that's good. Think we're all good. State. Do we lose them? Hello?
Nope, we're here.
Oh, good. I got.
We agree with Miss Champion and we are ready to go.
All right.